All right. Oh, that's really loud. I'm so sorry. Hi, everybody. Go ahead and get settled. We're about to get started. My name is Carrie Anstein. I am the president of the Southeast Polk Education Association. We are really excited to see everybody here, so thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. Thank you to everyone who is watching the live stream. This is a really important event, and we appreciate your commitment to our district. A few things that we have going on today. Aaron Sears is a CPM member who will be helping me moderate this evening. Our 5 candidates will each be asked a question. We have a total of 5 questions. Questions have been submitted by members of our organization. We will not be taking audience questions during this forum. Each member will have the opportunity to answer each question and will have 2 minutes to answer each question. Questions are provided at their tables. I'd like to take a moment to introduce each of our school board candidates for this year. We have Tracy Dawson, Bridget Ernst, Grant Gillen, Carla Jensen, and Adam Krell. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and start at the left with Ms. Dawson, and each question will kind of rotate and we'll prompt who will answer first. Okay, Ms. Dawson, our first question is, please tell us about your experience or involvement in a public school setting. You want me to use the mic? Yes, please. Not your teacher voice.
All right. My involvement in the public school setting is I have been a teacher in the Southeast Polk School District for the last 36 years. I have taught 1st grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, and spent the last 25 years teaching 6th grade at Spring Creek and then the last year at the middle school. I have had a wonderful experience at Southeast Polk. I've worked under several administrators and each time felt that I have been well supported. Not to say that we've had disagreements every now and then, but that's the way it goes. But we've been able to communicate and work through them to do what's best for our students. I've also been president of the Southeast Polk Education Association, secretary, vice president, and chief negotiator, and kind of contract maintenance person in various roles for the last 15 years.
Hi, my name is Bridget Ernst. I am currently the only incumbent here on stage, so I'm running for my 2nd term, currently sitting in the seat of the position of president of the board. My experience and involvement in public school setting began when my children were in kindergarten. Even before then, my son, he was a kid who needed help with transition. So we went to Centennial Elementary when he was still in preschool, and Mr. Stotts took us on a tour, and we got to know the school and start to get comfortable then. I've always loved school, and the value of learning has been one of my top values, and one of my children to value that as well. So I got involved in the PTA when both of my children were in Centennial, and I did lots of events and fundraisers and volunteered making copies and cutting things out, or listening to children read one-on-one, doing sight words. And I really, really enjoyed that. And while I was there and in the PTA, I moved into leadership in the PTA, and I saw so many things that I thought were great, and I wanted to continue being a champion for public school as my children got older. So I had ideas then that I wanted to run for school board, but I knew that my focus was on raising them and being present for their every moment as they were going through school. So as they got older, I went to every parent meeting. Sometimes I was one of maybe half a dozen in this room in the junior high meetings. And I got involved in band boosters, and my daughter was in swim.
At this time, thank you so much.
Oh,
Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Grant Gillen. My involvement in the public school system deals solely with Southeast Polk, and it's that of a parent, a volunteer, and also a general supporter. I currently have a second grader at Clay Elementary and then a 2-year-old that will eventually go through the Southeast Polk district. And truly, this district just means so much to me, and public schools in general, but it's something where I wanted to have this opportunity to potentially earn your vote because not only do I want Southeast Polk to continue to thrive, but I need it to thrive for my children, for my children's friends, and for everybody else involved in the district. And so, my experience is that of a parent. The volunteer work that I've done with my son's classrooms through his 3 years at Clay Elementary. I've hosted multiple assemblies at different elementary schools after my time in the public setting. I had the opportunity to go in front of students, talk about the pillars of character and how they can continue to thrive within the public school setting as well. So, I haven't had the opportunity, or I have not been a teacher. I have not been employed by the school district or worked closely in that realm, but it's something where this district just means so much to me that I want to be more involved and want to help continue to carry that path forward. Thank you.
I'm Carla Jensen, and I have a lot of public education experience. I started my teaching career in 1988, and I have spent 21 years teaching at the high school here in Southeast Polk's district. Retired a little over 3 years ago, and since then I've been a substitute teacher. So today, in fact, as well, with interesting challenges of Canvas not working and so on. But I've also been a parent here in our district. Both of my children graduated from Southeast Polk and went through the school system here. And I have a 16-month-old grandson who will be in our district soon. They live in Altoona. And many grandnephews and family members that are also. But I want it to be a great district, of course, not just for my own family members, but for all of the kids in the Southeast Polk district. I poured my heart into my career as a teacher. For me, it was never a job, just a job. It was always something that I poured my heart into and loved so much of it. And it was a hard decision to retire, but now I believe I'm at the point related to time and where I am in life that I can pour into all of that energy, all of that time, all of those things into the school district as far as being on the school board. And I would love to serve in this way. In addition, I also speak Spanish, and I believe that would be an asset to our district to be able to communicate with the people in our district who also speak Spanish. And I would just love to be a part of all this. I feel like I have many skill sets, many qualities that will really pour right into my work on the school board. And I would love to be a part of that.
Hi, my name is Adam Krell. I live in Pleasant Hill, and I'm running for the Southeast Polk School Board. In terms of my specific interaction with public schools, yes, I am myself a public school kid, and so are my kids. We have 3 children, one who's graduated already, one who's currently a junior, and one who's in second grade over at Clay, was in the same class as Grant's kid last year. So in terms of what my personal experience beyond that goes, I've served previously on our school board from 2017 to 2021, and I also coached speech and debate, with many different public schools, including right here at Southeast Polk for 4 years. Looking forward to hearing your guys' questions tonight and hopefully get some answers for you. And if you don't hear them there, find us afterwards. So, thank you.
For our second question, we're going to start with Ms. Ernst. Our second question is, what are some issues that you believe our school district is currently facing?
It's hard to narrow it down. I don't think there's one standout issue that we're currently facing. Thankfully, we have gotten through a lot in the past 4 years. We've come out of the pandemic and continued to recover from that. There is still some work to be done there. I think one of the main issues that still persists but is under a little more control is technology and cell phones, and having a policy where students can be more engaged in the classroom. I think that also impacts mental health, which is another area that I think is an issue that a lot of kids are dealing with, struggles with mental health, and what we can do in the schools to support our students and help them feel safe and like they belong. Also, I think, now that we've gotten through pandemic issues and we've worked really, really hard on attendance this past year, we've made great strides with that, but now it's time to focus on engagement and curriculum. Kids can't learn unless they're there in the classroom. Now we have them showing up on a regular basis more consistently, and we can dive in a little more and address some of the curricular issues or engagement. I know math is an area, literacy, of course, and then opportunities for our learners who are at all levels. We need to make sure that we're offering those as well.
Sorry about that. I do agree with Bridget that it's hard to pinpoint it down to 1, 2, 3, or even 5, things that are most important to this district right now. But I do want to lead with mental health of our students and of our teachers as well. We have some good policies and people in place to help with mental health within our school. But I believe as the world changes and as we change day to day, the district also has to make sure we're constantly reviewing what the best practices are. And that's, in my mind, people on, the people that are on the board and in administration and teachers, we can't know everything, right? And so it's finding the experts to learn from them and find those things that will help move our students forward, because I think we all know that when a student is in a good mental space, they're in a better space to learn. Managing our growth, obviously there is a bond referendum on the ballot on November 4th as well. And knowing that we are growing as a district, we have, I believe, even just this year overshot our projections for how many incoming or new students we would have. And so utilizing those dollars correctly and allowing us to expand in a responsible way as a district is very important. Teacher retention, working with the SEPEA and continuing to, strengthen that bond and make sure that teachers are heard. They are the experts in the classroom, talking to students, other teachers, administration, and parents every single day. And then, of course, our spending, making sure that we are spending each and every dollar that comes through the school district responsibly, knowing that our solvency ratio, while it's taken a dip with the opening of the new middle school, I have full faith in Kevin and his staff to bring that back up, making sure that we are overseeing each and every dollar to make sure they're spent correctly and efficiently.
I also agree with many of the things that have been said. Of course, our growth, that we adopt the referendum. And then also, if it were not to be adopted, what are we going to do as a board? We need people in place who can deal with that and effectively take care of business here. But growth is definitely affecting everything. Teacher recruitment and retention would be another issue. We even need bus drivers. We need so many things related to sub shortages. School safety is an issue that we constantly have to think about, just making sure that our kids are safe when they walk in those doors, and all the things that have been happening in the country and the world lately. Also, I've heard from many teachers that they're struggling a little bit with the EL learners, those that speak other languages and come into our district. And so all of those are issues that affect teachers, that affect learning, and all of that. So all of those are issues that we're facing, and those are serious issues that are going to take some serious thought, and they're going to take a lot of hard work. And I'm willing to do that.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to do this in two parts. When we're talking about our specific district, Southeast Polk, I think that one of the things is the growth, but it's not necessarily in just the numbers. It's the transition away from what we were to what we are becoming. Southeast Polk, in a large part, still thinks of itself as a rural district, where 75% or more of our student body comes from Altoona and Pleasant Hill. We are a suburban district, but with that comes changes. We still have to learn to respect what we've been and learn from it and take what we can, that hard work ethic that we grow from that. But we do have to transition and work on our growth. The second piece I want to talk about isn't necessarily specific to Southeast Polk. It's going to be for schools across the board. We're seeing changes at the federal level when it comes to dismantling a Department of Education and what that means for us. We're seeing, for the first time in a decade, a brand new governor here in Iowa. That means things are going to change in terms of how we process education. Funding's going to change. And the rules will probably change if we haven't seen enough of that over the last 10 years or so. I think that those challenges are going to hit us, and I think having a board in place who's going to dig in, put in the work, and who has some, the experience to get us through that is where we need to be.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Dawson.
Get me. We're very fortunate in our community to be experiencing growth, not only in Altoona, but Reynolds, Mitchellville, Pleasant Hill. But with that growth, our schools are busting at the seams, not just at Clay and Willowbrook, but all of our classrooms are experiencing growth. And that's why the referendum is we need a new elementary. But with that growth, our class sizes are growing. And with the extra students in the room, that puts pressure on the teachers, that extra materials, extra things that need to be done. So when I look at the growth, that's a good thing. But there are things that go with that growth that we also have to think about. We have the extra students. We need extra materials. We have extra behaviors. We have extra supports that we need. We need time. That's one thing that when I was in the classroom, there's only 24 hours in a day. We need to figure out how we can get 36 hours in a day. And if we can do that, I know a lot of people would be happy, but I don't think the board can fix that one. One of the things that, I heard teacher recruitment. We have positions at Southeast Polk that haven't been filled yet. So we need to figure out how to bring those teachers in. And it's not because we're not a great district. That's a need across the country. Some of the positions are special needs positions. So when you look at class size, you look at needing more time, you look at behaviors, you look at teacher positions that are not filled, all of those affect our academic performance. And that is something that we're very fortunate that hasn't impacted Southeast Polk yet. Our academic performance is still very high. So that means that our teachers, our support staff, our administrators are doing double time to make sure that our kids aren't impacted by those things. So.
And to number 2, thank you so much for your patience. Number 3, what is your perception of the current working and learning environment in our school district? And for this question, we're going to start with Mr. Gillen.
I've had the opportunity to host a meet and greet event. It was now about 3 weeks ago, where I invited the community to come out because, as I said earlier, I've lived in this community my whole life. I know a lot of people, a lot of people know me, but my goal was to meet the people that I don't know. And I had the opportunity to do that, both teachers and parents of students as well. And I learned a lot of great things from them. And, you can call them hurt points or hit points, whatever they are. But what I saw is that they're really opportunities. And so we have, great learners. We know that within our district. And our test scores are showing that our teachers are phenomenal and they are, doing what they are supposed to do to move everybody forward in the classroom. And then the students themselves, right? It's, oh, I wish, my son knew more of this. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence out there, right? But what I feel like I learned from that is that our students are motivated and ready to be pushed as well. And so with that comes extra back on the teachers, right? Because the teachers are doing a wonderful job in that classroom going through the curriculum that is provided to them and that they are teaching off of. But how do we find those ways as a school district to continue to push, and not just AP or advanced level courses at the high school, but allowing those opportunities for everyone in a classroom from elementary all the way through the school. So my perception right now is that Southeast Polk is at a good spot. Are there places to improve? Absolutely. And I think that comes from, again, talking to the experts, which in this case would be the parents and would be the teachers as well, learning where we have some opportunities to grow and using those what we learn from that to continue to grow.
As far as the working and learning environment in our schools, I do think overall it is positive. And my experience in Southeast Polk itself has been mostly at the high school level. So I don't see necessarily everything that has happened at the elementary levels or the middle school levels, although I've taught at all of those levels at various points in my life. But the working environment that I've seen and that I've interacted with other teachers that still work there has been overall satisfied. I know most of the teachers that I've worked with have been there for many years because they love this district and they love overall what's going on. I believe that there are things that can improve, definitely. And when I see our working and learning environment as far as teachers go for working environment, I see so many positives. Our teacher leadership program is a program that allows people to excel if they want more, if they want to become a leader among their peers. And that's a great program. I think as far as teachers go, we have some concerns as far as family health insurance plans. The cost of our program is very high, and I know it can be prohibitive in people even coming to Southeast Polk. And so I would like to see that addressed, or at least researched to see if we can't do better for the families of our teachers. And however, for the learning environment, it's so important, and I feel like the cell phone changes are wonderful things. I taught today, and I did not have to argue with high schoolers to put their phones away, and that's beautiful. And that's something relatively new, I think, since those changes took place. And so I think there are so many good things, so many good teachers that are passionate. They're there to really help students and want them to learn.
So I think the simple answer is, as these two have previously said, we're in a good spot. That doesn't mean we can't do better. There are always going to be opportunities for us to move forward, both in terms of what we do for our learning for our students, but also in the environment that we create for our teachers. In the corporate world, they say happy employees perform better. That's still true in terms of teachers. You guys do this out of your heart, not for a paycheck. Well, you know what I mean, not for the money, but that doesn't mean that we can't make sure that the working environment is as good as possible. And I think that by doing that, it's going to increase the learning opportunities we have as well. Echoing what Grant was saying, there are opportunities up and down the board that I think people want to instill and put into place. And I think that if we take the time to be open to that and listen to that, and as a board allow for those changes, some are going to stick, some won't, but we won't know until we try. I think that we can make good steps moving forward. And I absolutely agree with what Carla was just saying. One of the things that I'm continuously hearing for the teacher side is the health insurance piece. We've got to do better. I know Des Moines has the stellar plan. We're not going to be able to do that. But I think there's opportunities if we just take a look at it. So, Tracy?
Having just retired in May, that was in September. I was like, yeah, I'm going to retire. Yay, all of that. And then when May came, I cried. I'm like, did I make the right decision? And it was like, I think Southeast Polk is one of the best school districts to work for. And I went to Southeast Polk as a student. I raised my family in Southeast Polk. I chose to work in Southeast Polk. My daughter even decided to get a job and become a 7th grade teacher in Southeast Polk. So if I didn't believe in Southeast Polk, well, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So I believe that the working conditions at Southeast Polk are pretty stellar. We have very supportive administration. Again, that doesn't mean that we don't have disagreements and all of that, but we work through them. We have once a month with the association meets with HR, Mr. Horton, and they talk about things and concerns that the teachers have. And they work through them. They talk it out. They communicate. And it's because of that they are able to work through a lot of the situations that, had they not been able to communicate, would have become bigger problems. And I think that is something that not a lot of districts have. I know I'm short on time, so I'm going to talk really fast. We are extremely lucky to be so supported by a community that will do literally anything for us. Whether it's Altoona, Mitchellville, Pleasant Hill, Runnels, we are very well supported. You ask for something and they figure out how to get it for you. So we are very grateful. We just got, what, $60,000 for the band, high school band. That's amazing. We have a low turnover rate. If you look at the teachers and the number of years that they have been at Southeast Polk, we have a very low turnover rate. And you know, a teacher's working environment is a student's learning environment. So why would our students not be rocking it if our teachers are happy? They are. So am I out of time?
You're out of time.
Thanks, Tracy. Gosh, it's hard to be last on these questions because everybody else has said such wonderful things that I would echo as well. I think one thing that stands out to me when I think about the learning environment, and which also ties to the work environment for our teachers, is when I've visited classrooms and schools in the district, and I see these little bodies hard at work, on task, learning, engaged. It is just amazing to me. And I hear about, you know, stories from other schools, friends who teach in other districts, and the challenges they have. And I know we have challenges in our classrooms as well. But when we visit these classrooms, it's just, everything is working so well. And that is a testament to the teachers in those classrooms, and that, you know, I believe too that if your teachers are happy, and then your students are going to be happy as well, and the teachers are going to be more effective, and our students are going to learn more. So I think, you know, it's a symbiotic relationship there. But I also know that we are a top employer in the East Polk region, which speaks to our employee satisfaction, and I think everyone's hit on our high retention. We also offer great development opportunities. I would echo that. I've heard, I've heard people talk about the health care benefits, and that is an issue that needs to be looked at a little more closely. It's definitely on my radar. And I know there is room for improvement in some areas, but one thing about Southeast Polk is that I think we're always looking for those areas for improvement. And I have so many ideas in my head and things that I want to see come to fruition that I hope to be a part of in the near future.
Question number 4, we're going to start with Ms. Jensen for this one. What is your position on merit pay for teachers, linking teacher pay to student test scores?
I have mixed feelings. I'm against the merit pay system as far as linking test scores to teacher pay, because there are so many factors involved. It isn't an equitable system as far as the test scores of the students that arrive in your classroom to begin with. And it certainly would not be fair to punish a teacher for lower test scores if they have a group of students that tend to test lower. Now, of course, how we should be using our test scores is if there's a teacher that consistently has them, then that needs to be addressed. That teacher needs to have some coaching, and if that doesn't work, then that teacher needs to go. So, of course, there should be repercussions if there are low test scores. I would be, in theory, I am for merit pay. I am always someone that has striven to be the best. I have always wanted to be the top of my profession. I wanted to give everything to my students. So in that sense, I feel like I would want to have merit pay. But the reality of merit pay isn't something that is going to end up being a great system. And it isn't going to be overall related to higher student learning. And there are ways that merit pay does work in our system now as far as teacher leadership. Those teachers that are striving for more can apply for teacher leadership and become leaders among their peers. And so those are merit pay pieces that do work. But tying the scores to the way our system works now, we all develop, like in our high school, we all develop our tests together, common assessments. We all do prior assessments. So by the time we test the students, we kind of even know how they're going to do. And if there were one teacher that were struggling, that teacher would need help.
So I hate to take money out of teachers' pockets, but the answer is no. And there's many reasons. The first and foremost is I think every teacher in here can think of a student in their head that effort does not always translate to test scores. It's just the truth of it. And there are some kids who will never do a piece of homework in their life and still get a great test score because that's just who they are. It is not fair to our teachers to minimize the effort they put in, or even to our students at that moment, for that matter, to just what a test score is. In theory, like Carla was saying, it sounds great, but that's not reality. That's not how it works for our students and for our kids. And I would be concerned if we start moving towards that. And sorry, this is my background as an insurance guy comes in. If we start moving towards that, it pulls curriculum out of your guys' hands. Like Carla was talking about, you guys meet together and come up with those tests. If it becomes something that's merit-based, that's not going to be in your hands anymore. And I think that adds extra steps and layers and harms the overall experience that we give to our students if the teachers themselves aren't guiding that practice. So, like I said, while I hate pulling money out of your guys' pockets, I don't think it's a great idea. So.
I am not an advocate for merit pay. I believe it pits teacher against teacher, class against class, and district against district. I don't believe in that frame of measuring a teacher's worth. When you look at a score, I believe that a test score is one piece of a big puzzle. And if you're measuring student learning, there are many pieces to that puzzle. And some students just don't test well. So that's why we look at other things. And if you are tying someone's pay to it, I think that just opens up a can of worms that it's just not equitable. You have too many variables when you are looking at your students. I don't think it's fair to the students as well. So I am not a fan of it. I don't believe it is the right way to compensate a teacher. I think it would lead to issues when you look at the academics for the student as well.
I am fundamentally against merit pay in education. I think it may work in other industries, especially the for-profit industry, but the concept, especially applying it to public schools, would not work. And I agree it would pit teachers against teachers, students against students, districts against districts. And I think that, you know, in public schools, we accept all students. We cannot choose who we serve. And we do so gladly. We don't complain about it, but we know that, you know, if it was all about test scores, we'd, you know, be at a private school and pick and choose our students, and then maybe merit pay would be a part of the equation, but we're not. And the whole concept, you know, was proposed from a task force through of business leaders in the Iowa and Des Moines area for I believe mostly for profit industry, and with little knowledge or background in education. So I think that it is, and I know that there's been some backpedaling. and some clarification of that, but I do not think it would be a constructive approach.
I would also not be an advocate for merit pay with linking it to test scores for the basis of each student learns differently. We have benchmarks set by the state and by our school district of where we hope to see our students after each year of schooling. But we're hoping to have them, meet those benchmarks. Some far exceed it, some are right at it, and some still fall below those. And so everybody's starting at a different spot. And so linking those where a student that perhaps is on the lower end of that spectrum, perhaps they raise, again, I'm just using fictitious numbers here, but they raise where they're trying to meet by 60 points. But a person that was already exceeding maybe only raises by 10. Which student actually learned more? Which one had a, quote, better year or a better learning experience? And it's just very hard to quantify that. I believe the district does have some good outlets to where it's, I can kind of see this as a merit pay, but not based on test scores, with the leadership opportunities that teachers have to be a model teacher, to be an instructional coach, and then into the curriculum teachers as well. I think those are really important because it gives them the opportunity to explore outside their classroom, additional hours, additional pay on top of that, but it truly allows them to work towards something like merit pay, but without having it directly back to their students. So again, without pitting teachers against teachers, students against students, making sure that they have the ability to extend their pay, to have an opportunity to do more with their position is very important, but I would not link it to student test scores.
All right, thank you. Our next question, we are going to start with Mr. Krell. Our question is, CPIA works collaboratively with administration to ensure the best outcomes for our students and staff. What is your position on unions, and how will you continue to support this effort?
All right. I'm in favor of unions. I think that they serve a good function, not only in terms of education, but in other realms as well. They represent bodies of individuals that may not on their own have a voice, and I think that they are necessary, especially even in today when things are changing. In terms of the relationship that CPIA has with the administration here at Southeast Polk, I think it's allowed us to create a great learning environment, and as we were talking about earlier, a great working environment as well as far as how do you support that moving forward. You keep those lines of communication open. You stay open to the ideas. You stay open to the conversation, and you allow dissent to occur and to happen, so that when we need to make improvements, we can do those things. I think that's yeah. So yeah.
I come from a union background, so I strongly believe in unions. An advocate is a voice for someone, and I believe a union is a voice. I would be 100% to support this association. As a past leader, I don't know how the district would operate without the association. I know that Mr. Horton has worked well over the years with the association. I know having the master contract in place has established a level playing field for many of the decisions that have had to be made. It is unbiased, it's fair, it is something that we can come back to for both sides and make sure that the decisions are effective and fair. You're going to cut me off at 2 minutes, and I could go on for hours. I think this is just something that it is the way we do business at Southeast Polk. It is our guide. It is what we go to. It is what we use to recruit teachers. That's the first thing that they look at is what's the pay scale, what are your benefits. We are very fortunate at Southeast Polk to still have a master contract in place. That when other districts were losing it, when Chapter 20 was lost back in 2017, we have been able to maintain that contract and keep it in place. that is massive, and I would hope that we would continue that.
Thanks. It's hard to follow someone with so much experience in the teachers union. I think we have a great relationship with our teachers union, as others have said so far. I fully support our CPIA and ISEA, and the concept of unions in general. I think they give employees a voice and a seat at the table to be able to bargain and have conversations with administration about things that are important to them that affect, the working environment. I also, I was thinking back to 2017, before Tracy even mentioned it, when a lot of the Chapter 20 legislation went through, and how that some of those bargaining rights were stripped away from unions. And I just thought that was such a travesty. And when I sat in your, not in your seats, we were in a different setting. When I sat at the forum and listened to the candidates at the time, I wanted to hear an answer to that. Somebody got to the question before I got there, but I was very glad to hear at the time that everyone was committed to upholding what we already had in place for our teachers, which I thought was the right thing to do. And it didn't happen in all districts across the state, quite sadly. So I was very proud to see that at the time, and I feel like we've continued that. And I just want to continue to maintain the positive relationship that we have.
I am in full support of the Education Association, both Southeast Polk and ISEA. I think it's integrally important to our teachers being able to have consistency, and then trickle down to our students being able to learn from teachers that are taken care of. Again, the 2017 changes, with a lot of those opportunities being stripped away, and having Southeast Polk continue that master contract, I think is absolutely necessary. And having that voice as from the union to speak on behalf of the teachers is incredibly important. My background is in business and sales, and I know when I would go out on a sales call, I was doing a lot of contracts. It didn't have to do with employment contracts, but I had to advocate for myself and for my business, and to make sure that I was able to put our best foot forward. And I know firsthand how difficult that can be for one person to be negotiating a contract and having to have that fall all on their shoulders. And so to have a wonderful organization like SEPEA be there as a voice for the teachers is incredibly important for this district. As far as continuing to support, just being able to truly treat our teachers as experts. I've said that multiple times tonight, but that's because I believe that. They are the ones that are each and every day in the classroom with administration, with students, and with parents, learning truly everything that goes on in this district, and then on top of that, teaching the next generation of learners as well. And so just having those opportunities are incredibly important, and I'm in full support of the union.
I feel like almost everything has been said, but I did join the SCPEA when I first came to Southeast Polk, I believe. I've been a member ever since I've been here. And even though I retired 3 years ago, I'm still a member. So I choose to pay for that because I see the value. I see the historical collective voice that it has given all of our teachers here at Southeast Polk, and the protections and the benefits that come with the membership have been worth it for me. And so I've chosen to do that, and I would want to continue that relationship. I feel like they have done a great job at collective bargaining, and I would like to see that relationship continue.
Thank you so much. We are just going to wrap it up with one final question. We're going to start with Ms. Dawson. Why should people vote for you on November 7th? 4th? Should be the 4th. It says 7th, but like it should be the 4th. Why should people vote for you on November 4th?
November 4th. I have been and will continue to be a dedicated advocate for the students, staff, and Southeast Polk, and families as well. I have 36 years of classroom experience. I just retired in May, so I know what it's like to be a teacher at Southeast Polk. I know I can walk the walk, talk the talk. I know what I'm talking about. I have experience with the association. I understand the budget. I understand where the money comes from, the funding from the state. I don't profess to be an expert at it because Kevin throws those numbers out like crazy, and I say, back it up. Whoa, explain it again. And he looks at me like, okay, I'll talk a little slower. But I do understand that we have different pots of money and we can only spend things out of different pots. You can't take building things out of the general fund and you can't pay teachers out of PEPL. I understand all of that. So I feel like I have somewhat of a cursory understanding of that. I have experience in curriculum work, data review, committee work, grant writing, and community service. And I have the past 15 years of leadership experience with Southeast Polk. I have spent my career helping students achieve all that they can. And as a board member, I will keep the students at the center of every decision that I make while supporting the staff and partnering with families and community. I am committed at keeping Southeast Polk strong.
Thanks. Why should people vote for me on November 4th? Well, for me, I want the opportunity to continue to serve, to continue the path that I'm on. When I ran the first time 4 years ago, it was never with the intent that it would be just 4 years and I'd be done. It was never with the intent that it would be a stepping stone to something else. It was the intent to serve and show up for my community that means so much to me and be a champion for public education. I firmly believe in the model of servant leadership, and I strive to show up. To me, you spend the time where in the places and on the things that are most important to you, where your values are. And I continue to show up at our schools and for our students and teachers, or at least I try to, as much as possible. I have a knowledge of the current state of where things are in our school district, of projects we have in the works and our financial condition and elements that have led to that and what we need to do moving forward to continue in a healthy financial position. And I think that's really important to have knowledge continue on the board and have some continuous leadership. I was truly humbled to be chosen to serve as board president. That really meant a lot to have my peers on the board say that I was ready for that. And it's not something I've taken lightly. It's very hard work, and it's something I believe in, and I want to continue serving and representing everyone in the best way possible. I also feel like there is a lot of learning that you do as a board member. It never quits. I have learned a lot in the last 4 years, and yes, I'd like to continue. Thank you.
My hope is what you've hopefully learned from me tonight, and if you've been following me throughout this campaign, is my deep love and passion for this district. I was born and raised in Altoona, graduate of Willowbrook Elementary, the junior high, and then of course here in the high school. A lot of fond memories of the teachers, of friends, of family that have gone through this district as well. Spent 4 years in band in this room. I met my wife. She played right on the corner over here. Her harp, I was in the back in percussion. But I just truly have such a desire to continue this district and make it even better than it already is. I believe that I can provide a perspective from a parent perspective, and not only a parent perspective, but a parent of younger students coming up through this district as well. I have an immense respect for the board right now, and then everybody that's on this stage right now. I think what's most important is that I'm not running against anybody on this stage with me right now. I'm running for Southeast Polk. my goal is to only uplift Southeast Polk, its students, the parents, and the general community as well. My candidacy itself and my platform is run on really three pillars. The first decision that we make should always be for the students. We also have to make sure that our teachers and staff are supported in every way that they can be. And then, of course, that transparency and communication with the parents and the general community as well. I know everybody has a lot of questions about how do I access this, or how do I know where these funds are going, or why is this happening? And I believe having that transparency, and not that we're not transparent now, but doing a better job of outreach within our district and making sure that all those questions are answered. So I hope you vote for me, because I'm not up here with an agenda. I'm up here with a deep love for this community and district, and I only want to see it survive and thrive.
I would hope that you would vote for me on November 4th, because I have the experience and also the volunteering and the servant leadership to be able to take those all into the school board. I'm perhaps the only one who has taught at just about every level. I've taught from preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school, college level. So I've taught at all of those levels, so it gives me a broad understanding of the needs of students in our district and the needs of the teachers as well. And I've spent my career as a teacher starting in 1988. I was a teacher leader here at Southeast Polk. I was a model teacher, and I loved my experience at Southeast Polk as a leader and as a teacher, and I would love to carry all of that experience over into the school board. And I also speak Spanish, as I mentioned before, and I think that is definitely an asset. I've spent my whole life as a volunteer and also a servant leader, and I have loved pouring into the community. I have loved pouring in. I've volunteered a lot at my church and my community, and I would just love to continue that as far as a school board member. I'm at a place in my life where I can really devote and dedicate the time needed. As a retired educator, I have the time, and I would love to be able to devote all of that energy and pour it into my position as a school board member.
All right. I think we have a great privilege. We have 5 candidates who are very good, and you've got Grant and I who are parents. He's got younger kids. I have one, and I have an older kid. So we have passion to make sure that we need this to be successful. You've got Tracy and Carla who are educators, and that experience is invaluable. And then you've got Bridget and myself, which we have the experience as board members, or in my case, a former board member, so that day one we can hit the ground running. And just makes me think of the Meatloaf song, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So the reason I think you should be voting for me is not just the things that I bring but what I've done in the past when I was in this role. I think if you talk to some of the people who remember me from the first time around, you're gonna have a hard time finding someone who's as much of a full-throated advocate for education. If someone calls, whether it's a teacher who has an issue or wants me to come see their class, I'm there. It's what I've done in the past. It's how I worked, especially during the COVID times when we were trying to figure out solutions. You got to see the problem if you're going to advocate for ways to fix the problem. So I mean, that's what you're going to get if you're voting for me. It's not about the things that I want or want to see or anything like that. It's advocating and making sure that we can take care of the needs that we have, and by taking care of our teachers, we're also going to be taking care of our students, and by doing that, we're improving our community all around. So that's why November 4th is that Tuesday, that first Tuesday in November. That's why I would ask that you guys vote for me. Thank you.
And give everyone a round of applause, please. That is going to be the end of our forum this evening. First of all, CPA would like to say a big thank you to our wonderful candidates who took time out of their night to be here with us. We'd like to say a big thank you to the district for being so supportive of this forum and helping us out so much. For Mark back taking care of stuff for us technology-wise, Mr. Daly letting us use his wonderful facility. And to all of you, our community, our teachers, our members, we couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much for your dedication to our district and for caring to be here with us in person or virtually. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your evening.